Hey guys, thanks for joining. It is Election Day 2020. That's about all we know so far. It looks like Trump has taken a couple of states and Biden has taken one so far, is the report I've gotten. But that's not really what I'm about today. What I wanted to show is that I finished covering my floor, or what is now a floor, in the greenhouse. I've moved some things around again, but my giant mulch pile that I've been working from for the last month, maybe 5 weeks, is still a giant mulch pile. So again, if anyone in the central Arkansas area needs some hardwood mulch, this is pretty good stuff. I can't guarantee anything about it, but it did come from my neighborhood, so I generally know what's up. And there's not a lot of pesticides or herbicides that are being used around here. Seems like we got a little herky-jerky motion with the recording, so I'm not sure if that's going to translate into playback, but I'll show a little bit about what's going on down here. So I've got pallets stacked 2 deep over here. I leveled them just using little blocks of wood. Castor definitely helped. My son, helped. And over here, it's just one pallet and leveled the same way. I've got a couple of thin pieces of, this is called underlay. It's actually, I've been using it for my soffits. But anyway, that's kind of cool. So something I'm about to go do as soon as we see some results and such, I'm going to go inside, mix up some milk and water to spray here on my cucumber plant. As you see, this is powdery mildew growth on the leaves. I came through earlier today and trimmed up this cucumber plant, which doesn't seem to be doing nearly as well. It probably just got kind of dry. I put some stuff in my Amazon basket, cocoa core liners for some of these hanging baskets that don't have anything in them. A little earlier today, my son and I potted this one up. It's a philodendron that was just sitting in a little plastic grow pot. I can't recall what this stuff is. I just looked it up yesterday. And a little spider plant, airplane plant. Just some kind of neat tropical stuff that I hope will end up filling this basket nicely, and gonna have some thrill and a lot of spill in it. This one here is growing so well, it's probably time to start pulling some stuff out. It looks like there are 2 different portulacaas, a yellow and a magenta flowering one. That stuff's pretty cool. People call it purslane as well, but these things are edible. I don't really want to pull any leaves off of it because it's so pretty right now, but from time to time, if I accidentally knock one of those loose or something, I'll just chomp it up. A few days ago, I was repotting these, same thing, portulacala, and a lot of these little leaves started falling off, and I just munched them right up. And they were really good. They're kind of crisp and a little bit succulent, but yeah, not too bad. So I'm just out here checking stuff now that I've been a little more diligent. It was 93 degrees in here when I first came out a little after noon. From there, my son got home, and while I was still out here working, and we just stayed out here almost until the sun went down. Just a little bit ago, he and his mama went to the park to go play. So I'm out here checking stuff out and enjoying things and checking my tomatoes as they come along. I finally found out what's happening to my cherry tomatoes. I kept finding little red cherries on the ground, and something's coming along and picking at them as they get a little closer to ripe. So I said, like I know, but I just found that something's going on. And this kitty just acts like he wants some attention. Castor, what are you doing, buddy? Are you gonna help? Come here. Oh, that's my sweet kitty boy. He likes to be pet on his time and not when it's not convenient for him. And that's okay. I don't mind too much. I'll pet a kitty. But let's see, other things that happened today. Let's see, I repotted this. That was in a much smaller grow pot, and it's now doing pretty well, but this is roughly twice the volume of dirt it was in. Other things that I repotted may be all outside. I moved one of the pots that was over here that was sitting in this area. It was mostly snapdragons now. I took it and just put it back out front. Even though it's November, it's just too warm really for it to be in here. We're not I don't think we've dipped into the 30 degrees in Fahrenheit yet here in central Arkansas. It does get pretty cold at night. We're dipping into the 40s pretty regularly, but everything out here is doing okay, despite the fact that I have some gaps, air leaks. That's one obvious air leak. As I go outside, I can see some others, but let's see. Here's another air leak under here, which goes, I've tried to kind of build this up, but you can see light coming through there, and clearly you can see that there's a gap there. That's probably the case in more than one places around the edge of the greenhouse, but it's getting much more in line with being a sealed up and built structure. Still, I haven't done what I need to with this rear wall. I really want to open up, remove some of these polycarb panels that are on the back here, because I've got, let's see, I think one of them's behind that and the other somewhere, maybe not. I thought it was over here somewhere. But there is a, oh no, there it is, back in the corner. You can't really see it from here, but there's a vent that leads to my crawl space. And I'm heavily considering using that, the air underneath my crawl space as a air exchange with the greenhouse. It will, my crawl space is sealed right now, so I can roughly count it as heated and cooled. It's not exactly the same temperature as the inside of the house, but it's pretty darn close. It's much more stable than outside. And at night, it's much warmer under there than it is outside. So moved a few things around. As I leveled the floor, I raised that rack shelf thing. This here, this is just going to hold water. It's got some water in it now. Not a lot. My son put a little bit in there. He was helping me. That's just trash. These buckets and things are just to catch water as I'm watering the things above them, especially if it's something like compost tea or fertilizer, anything that's something I don't want to just waste. It can go back down in those. And this here is my inside compost, and you can see it's filling up pretty good. I probably need to add a little bit of water to that, and honestly, I should vent it or something like that. Maybe have 3 of those that I cycle. A lot of people don't understand that compost doesn't really start doing its thing until you're no longer adding to it. That's not 100% true, but it's something I kind of go off of. So generally, I'll fill that thing up, go dump it in my compost place, wet it, and it's just another layer on top of my stuff. But let's see how these guys are doing. Pretty well. I used one of the little pots that was up there today in my replanting. Arrow plant's doing real well. This palm, I think some people call this ponytails or something. I'm, again, not a tropical person. Umbrella plant. I think that's a sedum. Aloe. Over here. That may be, I'm not sure if that's euphorbia, or I've got another that looks a lot like copper spoons, but it's real similar to that. Leggy. Another arrowhead. And black magic. Oxalis.
And the kitty just wants to talk.